Welcome to the product design and development. This is third week. We will focus and we will discuss about product specifications. So this chapter actually the extended versions of product design and development, which is we have already studied last week regarding the customer needs. And this is our main reference. So our main reference is taken from Product Design and Development by Ulrich and Stephen Eppinger. And we are now discussing in the chapter 6, which is product specifications. And so if we look at the concept development process, so today we'd like to discuss how to establish the target specifications. Will be followed by generating product concepts, selections of product concepts, and then test the product concepts, and finally set the final specifications. For today, we will focus on target specifications. Actually, this chapter or this part is based on customer needs and benchmarking. And finally, we will try to get the final spec. The final spec is actually taken from target specifications, but we try to combine with the selections of concept, feasibility study, model testing, and the trade-off. One of the most important trade-off is how it is possible to find the materials, the process, and also the cost that incur. So I'll try to review the customer needs. The customer needs is actually it is called what. What is the voice of customer? So in a form, last week I mentioned about the customer needs is taken from adjective forms. So for example, when we are talking about shoes, so what is the customer needs? Okay, maybe some of you will say that, okay, the shoes should not be slippery, and then it is comfortable, and it is cheap perhaps, and the quality is good. So these are some examples of customer needs. And it may include the latent needs. What is latent needs? Latent need is something that related to the unspoken needs that a customer try to, it is very difficult that the customer to say something what they are what they are needing, but actually they need. And this is a job for the designers, as you are, and also the engineer. What is job actually? How to find non-verbal customer needs, which we call latent needs. And if we're looking at the industrial needs, so customer needs is actually talking about needs, wants, and the demand. So regarding a product and service and experience, customer try to interact with the product, the service, and experience is more important. From the experience, they will feel that, okay, this product is of value or valuable, and it will create customer satisfactions. But it's not enough, because we have to look at the market. Market is a set of customers. They have something which are very dynamics. So customer today is very different with customer tomorrow and customer last week, for example, last year, because we know we study about fashions and also the trends. So dynamics of customer is very important. So it's a bit confusing, right? So now we have known that the job for designer is how to capture customer needs. This is very, very important. Okay, so how to understand customer needs? First, we have to understand your customers, what they do, when they buy the product, and then how they buy. This is very important as well. And finally, what they expect of you. It means that what they expect your product, what they expect your services. So your customer expect reliable delivery, and you don't disappoint, and so that you stand to gain respect business. So guys, this is very long journey of your product design and development. So I repeat that customer needs is the first step. This is very, very important because it will influence your subsequent processes on your product design and development. Next one. This is a very simple matrix. We have 4 steps. The first one is identify. So, of course, because we try to review the customer needs, and identifications of identify is talking about to identify what the customer needs from you through keyword research. And also last week, we have studied how to conduct focus group discussions and observations, interview, and what else? Do you remember? Okay, good. So we are talking about ethnography. So ethnography is something that we try to go down to the field and to feel the real experience of customers. And you try to observe and not just asking what the customer wants, but you try to feel it yourself and you try to confirm what you feel to your customers. And next one, after identification is we try to distribute. Distribute what? The informations to your relevant stakeholders of your organizations. Stakeholders, maybe one example of stakeholders is your investor and also your end customers. And after that, you create the product or create the features. But before that, you try to find the product specifications and collect customer feedback on your effort, whether it is meeting your customer expectation or not. So collection is kind of evaluations done by your customers. So when after we have known this metrics, so next step after customer needs is product specification, which is the focus on of our lesson today. We talk about product specifications. Yes, the outline of product specifications for today is the nature of specification. So we have to know what is specification actually. We often heard about the specification of product, and also we have known target and final specifications. So what is the difference between target and final specifications? And afterwards, we have to study about the process for setting the target specifications and also the process for setting final specifications. So briefly, target and final, target is the first step, final is the second step. So the final step, we need to confirm and we need to modify whether the target specification is met or not. Okay, next one, what is the difference between spec and specs? So spec is actually spec stands for specifications. Specs is a set of specifications. So one principle which is very important for product specification is it consists of metrics, a unit, and a value. So it has unit and value. One example, when we are talking about velocity or speed, so what is the unit and the value? So unit is perhaps meter per second, and the value is, for example, 100 meter per second. Or when we talk about speed car, maybe car speed, for example. So in the toll road, in the highway, so the limit is 80 kilometer per hour. So 80 is talking about value. Kilometer per hour is talking about unit. And the set of unit and value, we call it metric. So specs has a set of spec. So many spec, we call it specs. Okay. Back to the target and target versus final specifications. So target is the ideal one. This is called a hope and aspirations of the design. We have maybe some people say that it is the optimal and this is the ideal. This is supposed to be. It is the good value, or the best value of specifications, and it has ideal and marginal. So I will talk about the difference between ideal and marginal in the subsequent slides. And then next one is refine specifications. Why refine is proposed? Because refine, sometimes we cannot achieve, we cannot make the target specification come true, because there is a trade-off among different desired characteristics. And why? Because we have limitations. In industrial engineering, you study about operation research, correct? And the concept of constraints. We have the constraint of time, we have a constraint of cost, we have constraints of funding or money, and we have to look at that constraint so that we try to refine it. And then after we doing a refine, after we done the modifications of the specs, and finally we get the final spec. It is the project contract book. So this is what you actually wrap up, and this is what you then deliver to your customers. Okay, guys, the nature of specifications. Talk about specification again. This is a reference point for functionality of the design and the quality planning. So we have to make sure that the product have a good functionality and quality as well. And the product assembly usually requires a hierarchy of specs and for the final product and each of its component. So again, your customer will ask you that is it good product or not? Good product or not sometimes is valued through a set of specs. And the product specs process, we have 3 points. So we have 3 steps for product spec process. The first one is how to set the target specifications. And then the second is to refine the specifications. And then the third one is reflect on the result and the process. So I'll try to elaborate very briefly what's the difference among 3 processes. The first one is set target specifications. So it is based on customer needs and benchmarking. Why benchmarking is very important? Because we are not alone. Our product, even you claim that your product is innovative, but trust me that your product, I think some of your product spec available in the market. So we need to do a benchmarking to see that your product, to see whether our product is better or worse than our competitors. And then develop metrics for each need. So last week, we are talking about customer needs. I mentioned that customer needs consist of 5 to maybe 15 customer needs. So for each need should correspond to metric, should correspond to spec. And then next one is set the ideal and acceptable values. So I think the first step of product spec process is very critical. And afterwards, we follow by refine specifications. What done in the refining the specifications? The first is based on the selected concept and feasibility study or feasibility testing, and we try to find the constraints. Technical and economic modeling, for example, is one of the constraints. And the third constraints are maybe talking about maybe time limit given by your customers. And after setting the target specification and refining the specifications, finally we have the reflections of the result and the process. So this is a critical step for ongoing improvement. Okay, the the subsequent slide, we are talking about maybe is more on technical things. So the first one, it is a review on what is metrics and the measurement. So you still remember, right? The metrics, what is the metrics and what is the needs. So the number one, we try to identify a list of metrics and measurement. And then the second one, we do a competitive benchmarking. And then the third one, set the ideal and marginally accepted target value and reflection on the results and the process. So this is the technical steps of the two product specifications. And this is also the subsequent, the next one is talking about the same things. But what is the most important thing is how we make a trade-off. So remember, trade-off is very important because we need to do refinement of specifications. Our ideal, our marginal specifications of our ideal and marginal target is not meant to be the final specification. So we need to do refinement, or we call it trade-off. Okay, to make it clear, this is an example. It's taken from the book. This is a product. Yeah, I think everybody knows about the product. It is a bicycle. And then so this bicycle actually is maybe some people say that it is call it a mountain bike. Okay, but what is the most critical thing features of the bicycle? Okay, yeah, you're correct. Some of you may mention about the gear, and I think it's some of you talking about saddle or pedal, or maybe some of you talking about tires. But in this case, we focus on suspension fork. What is suspension fork? Yeah, the keyword is suspensions. So we have to look at, I think it's located in front. It is suspension fork. Why suspension fork is very important? These are example of suspension fork from mountain bike suspension fork. So what is the function of suspension fork? Okay, good. Yeah, suspension fork is talking about to make it that bike is more comfortable when you drive it, when you ride the bicycle. So what's the need for suspension fork? Wow, we have a list of 20 customer needs. So one example is the suspension reduces vibration to the hand. Why this is very important? Yes, hand is when you ride a bicycle, so you hold the bar using your hands, right? So make it comfortable. It means that try to reduce the vibrations, because vibration is not good for your health. It's not good for your body. Okay, and the rest, I think, you can see by yourself. To see in the slide, on the slides, there are 20 needs, customer needs, and on the right, you can see the importance level. This is important level. We use a scale from 1 to 5. So what does it mean if we put it 1? Okay, good. So 1 is the least important. It means that this is not really important. But what if we put it 5? Okay, correct. So 5 is the most important. Next one, yeah, this is the essence for this materials. This is how to establish the metrics and the units. So, for example, in the first column, you can see the metric number. So we have 1 until 26. it means that we have 26 metrics. Yes, 26 metric. It doesn't mean that the number of needs the same as the number of metrics. We have 20 needs, doesn't mean that the number of metric will be 20. It can be less than 20, can be more than 20. So we have 26. But the most important one is the connections between metrics and needs. So let's take a look. Metric number 1 corresponds to the needs number 1 and 3. So it means that metric number 1, which is attenuations from dropout to handle at 10 Hz, can fulfill the needs number 1 and number 3. And the importance level is 3 with a unit decibel or dB. Okay, and the rest, please take a look by yourself. Metric number 2, for example, corresponds to the need number 2 and 6, and so on. Okay, so back to the connections between metrics and needs. So again, guys, I'll try to remind you that customer needs, it is called watts, and metrics or spec, we call it house. So watts connects to house. Don't be confused because it is very, very different. Needs is talking about what the customer wants and what the customer needs, what the customer expects. So it is something related to adjective and something that the products should fulfill to the customer. And then metrics and house is talking about how to connect, how to fulfill. And one most important thing is don't lose. It means that don't make the needs item left behind. So you make sure that all needs are connected at least to one metric. Okay. And this one, after you connect between metrics and needs, next we are talking about benchmarking. You still remember the concept of benchmarking? Benchmarking concept is we are talking about how we try to find the similar product in the market in terms of functions. Maybe they serve the same functions or the look. Actually, maybe it's not really completely the same, but they have some similarities. So in this example, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 competitive products. It means 6 competitors. So the first one is called ST Tritrax. The second one is Manire 2, and etc. And we try to put dots. So what dot represents? Dot represents that if you put one dot, it means that that product, that competitor product, is not really good. It means that it's the least important, or this is the worst. But if you put 5 dots, it means that your competitor product is very, very important, that your competitor product is significantly competitive to your product. One example. So in the need number 1, the suspension reduces vibration to the hands with the important level of 3. Important of 3 is it means that the suspension reduces vibration to the hand has important level 3. But for example, for competitor product number 1, it has 1 dot. It means your competitor product number 1 regarding the suspension reduces vibration to the hand, it has the lowest performance. But for the fourth product, for the fourth competitor product, which is called Rockstrack TI-21, it has 5 dots. So it means in terms of the knit suspension reduces vibration to the hands, this product has the highest performance. Okay, hopefully that you understand this matrix. Okay. Next one, wow, this is very complex table, but don't worry. This is just a follow-up. This is how to benchmark on matrix. Yes, it's on matrix. So the keyword is benchmarking from matrix. So for example, matrix number 1, which corresponds to the needs number 1 and 3, we have matrix defined as attenuation from drop out to handlebar at 10 Hertz, which has important level 3. The units is in dB, decibel. So, for example, competitor product number 1, it has a value of 8, followed by other products. It has 15, 10, 15, 9, and 13. So, this is the values of your competitor product. And of course, this is also applies to all metrics. Again, guys, we have 26 metrics and 20 needs. Next one. This is the marginal and ideal values. We call it target specifications or target metrics for your product, for our product, for our new product. Okay, remember, try to review your project, okay, your project proposal, okay, and try to imagine what metric should be proposed. So back to this example, we have 26 metrics, we have the unit, and we need to set the marginal value and ideal value. This is also to understand the difference between marginal and ideal. Ideal, from the word ideal, it is the target. It is the best value. Okay, you set for metric number 1, you set the number greater than 15. And then we set marginal value greater than 10. So what's the difference? So the difference is you need to give allowance to your metric value. So that product can be functioning, still functioning okay, when you try to adjust the value. So marginal value is just an allowance. So you give value below than ideal value, but your product still functioning well or still functioning okay. Yeah, and you have 26 metrics, and yeah, for each metric you should put marginal and ideal value. Next one, okay, after you set marginal and ideal value, back to the first slide again. After we set the target specifications, it is based on customer needs and benchmarking. And now we already done the marginal and ideal value. We call it final specs. Okay, the final specs. But again, guys, this final spec is not the final. So what does it mean? So it means that after you set so-called maybe I call it semi-final specifications, because we need to follow up with the how to generate the product concepts, followed by the selections of product concept and test the product concept. And after that, we'll try to look back on the product specifications, the semi-final product specification. Afterwards, it is the real final set. It is the real final specifications. So when to decide the final specifications, I think we need to wait maybe 3 or 4 weeks from now, and it means that after we get some material, some other materials. Okay. So this is an illustrations, the marginal and ideal values. So there are 3 alternatives. For example, why 3 alternatives? This is just an example. We have trade-off curves for 3 concepts. So the first concept I think is the best one. This is the below. I mean with the gray lines, because it nearby the ideal values. But we again, guys, we put an effort to see the constraints, right? To see the constraints. So we give allowance. So we come up with the brown line and the purple line. But again, they are still located in the marginal values. I think it's a good compromise. And the rest is your competitor products. They are located outside the marginal values. So this is very important to address that your concept actually above the performance, the expected performance of your concept is above the competitors. So if you want to communicate with your clients, for example, just give this graph to say that this is your aspirations, this is your final concept that will be continue, and based on this concept that you are beyond your competitors in terms of suspension fork. This is one part of the mountain bike game. Yes, this is I say that set final specifications. So according to the project team, you decide this one. And I think it's quite familiar when you go to the market. Let's say that you want to buy a laptop or you want to buy PC. Yeah, of course, one of the valuable information is specification. And you often ask the sellers, what is the spec? What is the spec? And how about this product? What is the spec? Why this one is better than this one? And the seller will tell you that because the spec is better. So this is the spec. That hopefully that you understand the concept of spec today, right? And what next? Okay. There is one tool called host of quality. It is a part of quality function deployment. This is also one way to communicate, okay, engineering communications in terms of what's and how's. What and how's. Again, guys, what is talking about customer needs. How's is talking about metrics or specs, or they call it engineering metrics. So, yeah, they build a house called house of quality. This is a connections between what's and how. Okay. Actually, this is options. This is an alternative how to give information, the connection between what's and how's that you have already seen in the previous slides. Okay, to wrap up, actually there is a assignment. But before I talk about assignment, guys, I just want to highlight 2 things. very important for today materials. The first one is customer needs. Customer needs is also called as voice of customer. It is also called as what's. And then the second one is, we call it metrics. It is also called as engineering specifications or engineering specs, or we call it hows. So don't ever confuse between what's and hows. What's can be fulfilled by hows. And then we have in-group assignments, and there will be due dates next week. So please discuss within your group, and then send report by the due date. Okay, thank you.